Hello friends, how are you today? Well, I got out here early in the morning because I decided that I like videoing in the evening and the morning at this location, but not so much midday when the sun is right overhead. One of you saw my last video where at 9 minutes and 52 seconds, the spider tapped my head as it flew by on its web. And it's so interesting. It took me at least a dozen times to look at that frame. And I saw that the spider didn't actually even touch me. It was about this far above my head. But you know what it did do? It's like as it went by, it reached out, and just before it got past my head, it touched one of my hairs. And you know what was so amazing about that? I felt it like a physical tap. Isn't it amazing how powerful the animal kingdom is? Like how powerful the spirit of the natural and the divine in it. You know, I mean, for me, where does that come from? It comes from the creator that made all things. So, you know, and when we get messages and we take the time to listen to what's going on around us in the natural world, to me, we're listening to the creator, the divinity, that resonates with us through those beings, you know. In the best of cases, when it's meant for us, when it's something meant for us as a living soul in human form. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is I wanted to talk to you about a follow-on from my video about moral bankruptcy, because in the Schumann resonance, it was so amazing. On September 9, 10, and 11, we saw basically an image of the Twin Towers. First one from far away, and then both next to each other, very up close. And I will I will put this in my community post so you can see the photos there. But basically, it just wowed me. And one of my followers on X, Mary, and thank you so much, Mary, she messaged, gave a comment about seeing the towers, and then I just suddenly, bam, the whole thing popped for me. And so what I wanted to say is, where the single tower was, I had seen a false gateway, and then next to it, a hidden gateway. And if you look at the tower as 3D, so the part facing you and then the side, of a 3D tall rectangle that shows, right? The part facing us was the hidden gateway, and the part on the side of the building was the hidden gateway. And in the false gateway on the Schumann resonance, it made a flat green rectangle bar of energy at 7.83 hertz. And what does that mean? Well, the last time we saw that was October 7 of it was actually the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and then a few days beyond that. So you can look at my videos where I really went into that almost a year ago, and explained the meaning of it. But basically what I saw it as was enforced propaganda around a false flag event. Now, false flag just meaning an event that becomes used for purposes related to propaganda relative to like an incident, it just being another incident or event that happens in the world where there's sort of deep messaging around it. And of course, you know, in those real people die, but the falseness is how the event is then used by various forces to try to create aims, okay? So basically, of you know, their own forward. It's like an element comes in and attempts to co-opt it, the event. So basically, when I saw the green bar just within the false gateway, as soon as the energy of the hidden gateway came, it blew that narrative out. It blew the attempt at enforced narrative out. And this is so fascinating because over the years, this is what's happened related to 9/11 and the various events surrounding it. I have many, many videos on this event, but I won't go into those now, but you can see my various interpretations and personal experience around it, because I left finance the year that it happened. Okay, so basically, what that showed for me was, number one, confirmation of my interpretation of the green rectangle bar of energy. Number two, it then showed to me the history, because what happened in the frequencies is that in the hidden gateway, the white and yellow frequencies plateaued for about 3 hours. They were at the low end of the range, and they came up like a rectangle, made a flat, they were relatively flat for 3 hours, and then shot back down. So they literally made a rectangle on the chart, which is in my images. So what happened is that I called this a hidden gateway. You can't see it unless you also look at the numbers. And the amplitudes were kind of mid-range, to low. The qualities aren't doing a lot, except the white resonance, which popped up. And I think that, this kind of, when the white resonance is making a move like this, and particularly to see the hidden gateway in white resonance, to me, that's God's got our back. And it's also expanding consciousness, right? So the hidden aspects of this is that the event caused us as a society, as a group, to expand our consciousness, in my opinion. And then the other thing is that with the yellow expanding, the yellow resonance range, frequency range, in my view, what it represents is the astral or the non-physical closest to the human. So that's anything non-physical around us. And so we were both bombarded, right, with messaging, with emotions, with thought patterns that stuck for a very long time. But we've also, we also developed dreams out of that, like the restoration of our country, I guess, and various individuals. I mean, everybody who was alive at that time was affected. And if you were a child at that time watching it in school, I can't even imagine what that was like for you as a child. Because I remember the day it happened, our friends came over and we decided to watch TV together. So we put on CNN, and I said in my post we didn't have a TV. Well, we didn't have a TV that you could just turn on. Basically, my husband was very techie, and so he somehow got it working where we watched CNN. Basically, we did all day, all for the rest of the day, and we just watched that scene over and over and over and over again. It was off the hook, you guys. And if you were, if you watched it in any way at the time. So to me, what this brings up is, I talked about in my last video on astrology, Mars at the new moon for this month was at the astrological degree of 28 Gemini, which is bankruptcy. And at first I thought, wow, I wonder what's going to happen, right? As I was looking at this a month or two ahead of time. But then what I realized was it's at the manifested degree. The evolving degree is, I talked about what the energy evolves to in that video. But basically, I realized it's already done, that we already are in, as a group, bankruptcy of some kind. And then what I also realized was that, and that's probably the reason for the war that's going on, right? Whether it's an information war, a spiritual war, but it's raging. It's so clear, right, that there's some kind of war that's going on. So basically, then what I realized, okay, this week with 9/11, I realized that we're in moral bankruptcy. And I wanted to show you what is the meaning of that, okay? So I want to show you in the human energy field, what is moral bankruptcy? So I'm going to do that now. And I brought props and stuff to show you, okay? Okay, so there we go. All right, so here we go. There we go. Okay, so here's the human in the human energy field, okay?